right now, the person who knows the exact vibration a multi-million-dollar turbine makes right before it catastrophically fails is, well, they're packing up their desk.
Yeah, they're retiring.
Exactly. They are retiring. And in the global energy sector, that invisible, unwritten knowledge literally walking out the door, it isn't just an HR problem. It is a multi-billion-dollar safety crisis.
It really is. I mean, we are looking at a massive generational knowledge drain. The industry, they sometimes call it the silver tsunami, where decades of highly specialized operational expertise are just vanishing overnight.
Right. And well, welcome to today's deep dive for you, our listeners. It is May 25, 2026, and today we are looking at a major, major inflection point in the energy sector. We got some really fascinating source material for you today.
We do. It's the official launch announcement of the Genesis Bootcamp.
Yes, by EON AI Ventures. And they're partnering with EON Reality, who are leveraging like 25 years of XR and AI deployments across 80 countries. So they have the pedigree.
Oh, totally. They're not new to this at all.
Right. So our mission for you today is to explore how this brand new initiative aims to solve this looming workforce crisis. They claim they can take energy operators from a basic training need to a fully deployed AI-driven workforce module in just 5 days.
5 days, yeah, which is incredibly fast for this industry.
Okay, let's unpack this because traditional training simply cannot fix the problem the energy sector is facing right now. It's just broken.
It is. I mean, the source material outlines three converging forces that are basically rendering the old way of training completely obsolete.
Yeah.
The first is that retiring expertise we just mentioned.
Right.
We're talking about procedures that, frankly, cannot be fully captured in a manual.
Yeah, you're talking about things like refinery cold start sequencing.
Exactly.
Which is this incredibly delicate process of restarting a dormant refinery without causing, a massive pressure explosion, or like downhole intervention, which is trying to fix a complex, well, thousands of feet underground.
It's all high-stakes stuff.
Yeah, or the protocols for an FPSO. And if you aren't familiar with that acronym, it's a floating production storage and offloading unit. It's essentially a massive, highly combustible ship that processes oil out at sea. You cannot just read a pamphlet on how to operate an FPSO.
No, you absolutely cannot. And capturing that turnaround orchestration as immersive, replayable training before the veteran leaves, before it is lost entirely, has become a board-level priority for these energy giants.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
companies are realizing that their competitive advantage literally lives in the heads of workers who are, about to start claiming their pensions. They have to capture it. And that urgency is compounded by the second force regulators, corporate boards, insurers. They're all putting their foot down.
Because they're entirely rejecting attendance-based training now, right?
Yeah, exactly. The days of signing a sheet to prove you sat in a classroom and stared at a PowerPoint are completely over. Insurers and regulators now demand verifiable competence.
Right, verify.
An operator has to demonstrate that they can actually perform the task under simulated stress, or the company assumes just massive liability.
Right, which makes total sense. I mean, if you think about it, we wouldn't accept attendance-based training for any other high-stakes job. Imagine you were trying to learn how to fly a commercial helicopter. Right.
Oh, right. Good analogy.
You watch like a 45-minute YouTube tutorial, you click complete at the end of the video, and then someone immediately just hands you the keys to a real helicopter and tells you to take off.
It sounds totally absurd.
It's insane.
But that has historically been the model for a lot of heavy industry.
Mm-hmm.
You shadow someone for a few weeks, you read a heavy binder, and then you're just on the floor.
And in high-stakes energy operations, watching a video does not satisfy the safety standard anymore. It just doesn't. Performing a high-pressure intervention in an immersive simulation, where your mistakes have simulated consequences, but, no one actually gets hurt, does.
Right. Which brings us to the third force driving this huge transition, the new generation of operators stepping in to fill those vacant roles.
The younger crowd.
Exactly. The workers entering the energy industry today, they spent their entire lives inside interactive media. They are digitally native.
Oh, absolutely.
They expect simulation, they expect immediate feedback loops, and a clear gamified path to mastery. Sitting them in a windowless room for a week with a 3-ring binder is a guaranteed way to lose their attention and ultimately lose them as employees. What's fascinating here is how these three forces, the vanishing veterans, the strict regulators, and the interactive generation, they all combine to mean that companies are literally losing the talent war right now if they don't adapt.
So we have established that traditional manuals and videos are, well, practically useless for the modern rig worker. The
Yeah.
industry needs a radically faster, stress-tested way to build competence. But building a full video game level simulation of a refinery usually takes, what, a year?
At least a year, yeah, and a massive budget.
Right, massive budget. So how does EON claim they can do this before Friday? That leads us straight into the 5-day Genesis Bootcamp.
Yeah, the boot camp. It is a highly disciplined, repeatable sprint. The boot camp is run either on-site or in a hybrid format, and it's led by a senior EON team that actually includes the company's founders and product owners.
Oh, so they don't just farm this out to junior staff.
No, they don't farm this out at all. They break the entire development process down into a 5-day arc, and it starts with day one, which they call discover.
Right, so if you are an energy operator listening to this, you're probably wondering how they even start scoping something so massive in one day.
Well, they don't try to boil the ocean. Day one is a veteran-led kickoff. The EON team sits down with the customer's leadership and maps out the 3 to 5 highest impact pain points at that specific facility.
Okay.
And then they lock in one single flagship use case to focus on for the entire week. They capture the standard operating procedures, the specific environments, the equipment specifications, and crucially, they define the success metrics right then and there.
Like what kind of metrics?
Things like reducing time to competency by a certain percentage, incident reduction goals, and deployment costs.
Got it. So day one is entirely about scoping the target. You figure out exactly what you're doing. And then day two is called generate. And this is where the heavy lifting actually starts.
Exactly. They use their proprietary platform, Genesis 3, to generate a photorial 3D environment directly from the customer's existing assets.
Huh.
They start authoring the procedural training scenarios, and they configure the AI mentor.
Wow.
And by the end of day two, they actually have a first playable build of the simulation ready.
Okay, wait. So what does this all mean? Look, I'm calling a timeout here. I have to push back on this timeline a bit.
Sure.
Building a functional photorial oil rig simulation in 5 days, if major PlayStation titles take like 5 to 7 years and hundreds of millions of dollars to develop, how on earth are they ensuring the simulation won't just glitch out and teach a worker the exact wrong safety protocol? We just established the margin for error in this industry is zero.
Oh, it's a completely fair skepticism. I mean, if you were using manual game design techniques, hand-drawing every pipe, coding every interaction from scratch, it would be totally impossible. But they aren't doing that. And more importantly, they address that exact safety concern on day 3, which is called refine. This day is dedicated entirely to validation, and it is honestly the most critical step of the whole week.
Wait, so they don't just let the AI build it on day 2 and blindly hope the physics are right?
No, exactly the opposite. Day 3 brings in those 30-year veterans we talked about earlier.
Oh, the retiring guys.
Yes, the customer's own subject matter experts. They step into the simulation and validate every single detail. Accuracy is strictly non-negotiable in oil and gas.
Okay, so the veterans are basically testing the equipment behavior. Like, if a valve is supposed to take 40 seconds to bleed off pressure, the veteran ensures the digital twin takes exactly 40 seconds.
Exactly that. They test the physics, the fluid dynamics, the health, safety, and environmental branching paths. They test all the edge cases. And what happens if the user skips step 4 by accident?
Right. Does the simulation blow up the way the real rig would?
Yeah, does it react correctly? The veterans tune the assessment criteria against real operational realities. The simulation literally does not move forward until the people who actually do the job sign off on its flawless accuracy.
Okay, that makes a lot more sense. The software developers aren't just guessing how a pressure valve works. The actual experts are essentially calibrating the digital twin.
Exactly.
So once it is validated, we move to day 4, which is integrate.
Right. Because having a great simulation on a single VR headset doesn't really help a global enterprise. It has to connect to their existing infrastructure. So on day 4, they wire the new module into the customer's learning management system, the LMS.
Gotcha.
They use industry standards like SAML and CKIOM for secure identity management and XAPI.
Okay, let's translate that for a second. Integrating with XAPI basically acts as a universal translator, right? It ensures that when a worker completes a VR training module, that data talks perfectly to the HR department's existing employee records, logging their competency scores automatically.
Yes, exactly. It makes the training trackable and compliant. They wire up those access controls, test the hardware across VR headsets, tablets, and even regular desktop computers, so it is accessible anywhere.
Awesome.
And then they run train-the-trainer sessions for the customer's learning and development team.
Which brings us to the finish line, day 5. Deploy.
Deploy. The module goes live to a pilot user cohort on production hardware. But the EON team doesn't just hand over the software and leave the building.
Right, they stick the landing.
They deliver an executive readout.
Right.
This includes an ROI projection based on those exact metrics defined on day one, a roadmap for scaling the technology across other sites, and a multi-year platform vision. They aim to sign an expansion intent before they even walk out the door.
It is just a staggering amount of output for a single working week. According to the sources, customers walk away with 8 specific production-grade artifacts.
Hey.
You don't just get an immersive training module. You get a custom 3D environment, the AI scenario engine, the LMS integration kit, a live competency dashboard, a playbook to train your own trainers, a 12-month rollout roadmap, and a co-authored ROI white paper, all in 5 days.
That level of deliverables is specifically designed to prove immediate value to the C-suite.
But the underlying reality here is that you can't just throw more human developers at a project to make it go from 12 months to 5 days. You need tools that fundamentally change the mechanics of how the work is actually done.
You do. And that brings us to the specific technological leverage making this bootcamp possible. The dual engines of Genesis 3 and Brainy.
Right, so let's break those down, starting with the environment builder.
Yep.
What exactly is Genesis 3 doing differently here?
Well, Genesis 3 is EON AI Ventures' world-centric immersive generation platform. It is built on 5 patents owned by EON. And what it does is it automates the translation of the real world into a virtual one. Okay. If an energy operator has photographs of a facility, schematics, building information models, which are essentially highly detailed 3D architectural blueprints, or point clouds.
Wait, point clouds are fascinating. For those unfamiliar, companies will fly drones or walk around a facility with these laser scanners, capturing millions of individual data points that map the physical space down to the millimeter.
Right.
But a point cloud is just like a ghost made of dots. You can't interact with it.
And that is exactly where Genesis 3 shines. It handles what they call object-to-world geometry generation.
Oh, I see. Think of Genesis 3 like a digital shrink wrap. Instead of a 3D artist manually sculpting a complex pump from scratch over 3 weeks, the software shrink wraps those millions of laser scan data points, instantly creating a solid, functional 3D twin of that exact pump.
That's a great way to put it. It automates the photo-to-environment capture. It ensures the equipment inherits accurate physics and behavior, supports those HSE-compliant scenario branches we discussed, and ensures the whole thing runs smoothly across VR, AR, and standard desktop screens.
That perfectly solves the problem of building the world. But an empty, highly accurate digital oil rig isn't a training program. You need the guide. You need the instructor evaluating the worker. And that is where Brainy comes in.
Yes, Brainy. Brainy is the conversational AI mentor, and it serves as the scenario engine inside every single Genesis module. It provides voice-first interaction in over 130 languages.
Over 130. Wow.
Yeah, which is absolutely vital for global energy companies operating in places like the North Sea, Angola, and Texas simultaneously.
And it's evaluating them in real time, right?
Yes, it provides real-time competency assessments, but uniquely, it also surfaces behavioral feedback for soft skills.
Soft skills on an oil rig.
Yes. During a high-stress simulated blowout, Brainy is analyzing tone, hesitation, clarity of communication. It feeds all of that into a dashboard for the leadership team to review. But the most critical differentiator is its knowledge base. Brainy is grounded exclusively in the customer's own specific SOPs and protocols.
I love this concept. It is literally like having the most experienced 40-year industry veteran standing right over your shoulder.
Exactly.
Imagine you are about to do a high-pressure intervention on a rig. Brainy is calmly talking you through it in your native language, using your company's exact localized terminology, complete with your company's branding on its virtual uniform. It is not giving you generic industry advice it scraped from the internet. It is your company's deeply localized institutional knowledge speaking directly to you.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, you can see why this specific combination of technologies is such a massive breakthrough for the energy sector. Because Genesis 3 automates the geometry generation, it completely removes the traditional bottlenecks of 3D asset creation.
Right, the artistic bottleneck.
Exactly. Automating that heavy lifting is the only way the 5-day timeline is physically possible.
But having a great technological solution is one thing. We are talking about energy giants here. These are some of the most complex, risk-averse, slow-moving bureaucracies on the planet. I mean, their procurement cycles can take 18 months just to approve a new software vendor. How do EON actually get these massive operators to adopt this technology quickly?
By treating the bootcamp as a strategic commercial wedge, The source material outlines a very deliberate three-phase roadmap for adoption, designed to bypass institutional inertia by basically proving value instantly.
Right. Phase 1 is the boot camp we just explored, week 1.
Yes, it is about delivering proof, not promises. They are showing up and building a working module, rather than presenting slideware in a boardroom for 6 months.
And then, once they prove it works in 5 days, they move to phase 2, which covers months 2 through 6. Site rollout. The initial module is deployed across the full facility, and they rapidly add 3 to 5 more use cases. This is where the company actually starts capturing that retiring subject matter expertise at scale across different departments.
Exactly. And then phase 3, covering months 6 through 18, is the enterprise platform phase. Genesis shifts from being a single point solution for one specific training problem to becoming the customer's multi-site, multi-discipline workforce infrastructure.
The ultimate goal is enterprise-wide deployment. But as you mentioned, getting to phase 1 requires getting past the purchasing department in the first place. And EON has structured their pricing tiers very specifically to accelerate that initial approval process.
They have. They offer 3 tiers.
Yeah.
The standard tier is priced at $250,000. That covers the 5 on-site days, 1 single flagship use case, 1 site, and the full set of 8 deliverables.
Here's where it gets really interesting. They priced that standard tier at $250,000 specifically to fit under the radar of an executive vice president's signing authority at most major energy operators.
It's so smart.
By sizing the engagement that way, they allow energy operators to bypass the endless red tape of board approvals and global IT procurement committees. An EVP can literally just sign the check out of their discretionary budget, bring the EON team in, and get undeniable proof of value by Friday afternoon. It is a brilliant business move.
It is highly strategic. For companies ready to commit a bit more upfront, there's the premium tier at $500,000, which EON actually recommends as the sweet spot. That expands the scope to 2 integrated use cases, includes an executive alignment workshop, delivers a named ROI study with a C-suite readout, and offers an optional joint press opportunity.
Right. And then for the organizations that want to aggressively overhaul their training infrastructure right away, there is the enterprise tier at $1 million. That gets you the 5 days on-site, a multi-site rollout plan, multi-stakeholder governance, and quarterly executive reviews. But the biggest addition there is the 90-day forward deployed engineer embed.
Yeah, that's huge. Having an engineer embedded for 90 days means the customer has an EON expert actively working inside their organization, helping them build out their own internal capabilities to use the Genesis platform continuously long after the initial bootcamp ends.
Makes total sense.
Also, the enterprise tier includes a direct escalation channel to EON's CEO.
But there is a catch to all of this. An energy company can't just throw $1 million at EON and demand a bootcamp tomorrow. Access to these cohorts is strictly limited. The sources explicitly note they are constrained to just 4 concurrent engagements per quarter globally.
Just 4. It is a model of practical scarcity. They limit the cohorts to preserve that veteran-led delivery model. They want to guarantee that every single bootcamp is led by their senior team and founders.
They don't want quality to drop.
Exactly. It distinguishes them from generic vendor pilots where the slick initial pitch is done by senior executives, but the actual on-site work is immediately handed off to junior staff who don't understand the nuances of the energy sector at all.
Yeah, if you're going to build a high-stakes simulation in 5 days, you need the A-team in the room. So let's synthesize all of this. The energy sector is staring down a severe, costly knowledge drain. The experts who built and maintained these incredibly complex facilities over the last 30 years are retiring, and they are taking decades of unwritten, hyper-specialized knowledge with them.
Yep.
At the same time, regulators are demanding proof of competency, and new workers are demanding interactive training. Tools like the Genesis Bootcamp offer a fast, hyper-accurate, and immersive way to effectively download the brains of those retiring experts into a 3D environment, preserving that knowledge for the next generation of workers.
This raises an important question. As the energy sector shifts from passive learning to this kind of verifiable, stress-tested competency, we are going to totally redefine what workplace safety and operational efficiency actually look like. We are moving from hoping someone remembers a binder to mathematically knowing they've successfully completed the task in a high-fidelity simulation before they ever touch a real valve.
And that leaves us with something really profound to think about. If an energy company can use AI to perfectly simulate and preserve the localized knowledge of its most veteran workers forever, What does that do to the value of human experience over time? I mean, 50 years from now, when the AI mentor has absorbed the lifetime experiences of 10,000 retiring experts and knows more than any single human operator ever could, how does the role of the human worker fundamentally change? Do we become just the hands for an all-knowing digital brain? Well, thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into the sources today. We hope you gained some valuable insights, and we wish you a great rest of your day.